George Russell is going to be a Formula One world champion in the 2026 season, and there are two reasons why that's going to happen. The first reason is his skill set as a driver. If you compare George Russell's driving ability, his consistency, his racecraft, his wheel to wheel racecraft has improved significantly since the Valtteri Bottas crash back in the day. But George Russell's skill set is actually pretty good. He's very consistent. He is known as Mr. Consistent for a reason. And even in his Williams days, back when he was driving for Williams, he was known as Mr. Saturday because he would extract every bit of performance from the car on the qualifying day, and the car will qualify in positions where it did not belong. This was when Williams were kind of like slow runners. So George Russell's skill set, especially if you compare it with both of the McLaren drivers, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, the newly crowned world champion, you have to admit that if you give all three of them the same car, take them through the entire Formula One season as it is, as hectic as it is, as chaotic and busy as it is, Russell is arguably, obviously there's no way of knowing it definitively because we cannot put the three of them in the same car. Arguably, George Russell will edge out Piastri and Norris because, he has kind of mastered the ability to extract the maximum performance out of the car, go it from one session to other session, absorb the pressure from the media, keep his head cool, maintain the fine balance between oversharing in front of media and maintaining confidentiality. All of those things are better for George Russell. And another thing, while we are talking about Piastri and Norris, a small point. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri found themselves fighting for world championship because their car was significantly faster than the rest of the field. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it out there because it's true. Let's not pretend that Lando has been driving a car which is, subpar or not the, absolute benchmark in 2025. He was. And despite driving a car which was the absolute benchmark in 2025, arguably the best car in the entirety of the ground effect era, he still managed to win the world championship by only 2 points from Max Verstappen. So you have to take that into consideration. Yes, Lando Norris is a world champion. Big congratulations to him. But to win a championship by 2 points when you literally have the best car of the entire ground effect era, and the car was so quick, not just on quali day, but in every session, the car looked stable, the car looked predictable. Both of the drivers were able to win races and, fight with each other. Most of the races, these guys were fighting with each other. But due to various kinds of mistakes, obviously with the execution of the team, and also some kind of impediment with the drivers, they failed to maximize the car every race, for which the championship fight in 2025 dragged all the way to Abu Dhabi. That's a critical thing you gotta keep in mind. If you will give that car to any of the top level drivers, including George Russell, they will wrap up the world championship very early because they will just be bang on speed. They will maximize the results based on the potential of the car weekend after weekend. They will not, Russell especially, will not crumble under the pressure of the media. He will bounce back quickly. He has seen a lot of hard and difficult days. That's just a fact. So, to reiterate the first point, George Russell, if you consider his skill set as a driver, he is better than both of the McLaren drivers, and he is going to beat them over the course of a season, especially if he has a competitive car. That's the first thing. Now, you might say, what about the others? What about Verstappen? What about Kimi Antonelli? What about all the other teams who have good drivers, who can fight? And This is where the second reason comes in. So the first reason was Russell's skill set, and the second reason is Mercedes car, their package. I mean, it's still an assumption. We will know for sure once the races begin. But it seems that in 2026, Mercedes are going to have the fastest race car over the course of a season, and they will be able to consistently fight for pole positions and race victories, race after race. It seems to me, and I'll tell you why. The first reason is obviously the recent news about the engine and the power unit. Mercedes engine for the 2026 plus era of Formula One regulations seems to have the upper hand. Apparently, based on the compression ratio trick that they have, I have created a video about this. Based on the compression ratio trick that they have, they will get 15 horsepower more compared to their competitors, which translates into 4/10, about 4/10 of a lap, for 4/10 of a second faster per lap. That's what the pace advantage translates to. Just from the engine performance alone, they're getting somewhat close to 4/10 of a second advantage per lap. That's massive. Now, coming to the chassis side of things, where Mercedes made a grave mistake at the beginning of the ground effect era, I get that. I don't think they're going to repeat the mistake. I think this time they're going to nail it, and it will make their car go even faster than like on top of the 0.4 seconds advantage that they will get from the engine. Additionally, another few things that I want to talk about is that there are other teams who use Mercedes power unit, like McLaren, Williams. Williams driver lineup is phenomenally good. Then Alpine will use Mercedes power unit as well, and they have been very much focused on developing 2026 car. That's why they were dead last in 2025. Pierre Gasly is a motherfucker to deal with. He's very good. He is the Max Verstappen of Alpine. I know that. I know all of the potential contenders who can be. But you gotta understand about the Mercedes advantage. The first thing is, Mercedes knew about their engine advantage earlier than all of their customer teams. This allows the chassis department to design the car accordingly to complement the advantages that they will get from the engine, so that overall they will have a better package. You know what I'm saying? Let's say Mercedes chassis department knew about the Mercedes power unit advantage a few weeks or even a few months after Mercedes got to know, because Mercedes, they are the works team, and their internal communication has to be tighter. The customer teams usually do, they will know obviously way ahead in advance before they start designing the car. I get it, but the nitty-gritty details is available with Mercedes. So they are more likely to design a car or an overall package which complements the engine advantage that they have, that I just talked about, giving them more advantage going forward. So if you kind of like consolidate all of the insights that I just shared, some of it are assumptions, I get it, and that's the beauty of motorsports, because you never really know. But if you compile the things that I've just said, Russell's skill set and the probability that Mercedes will show up with a competitive enough car, Kimi Antonelli not being experienced enough to compete against George Russell on that toe-to-toe level, race after race level, all of it points at one thing. And also the lack of skills of, not the lack of skills, but comparatively, the McLaren drivers are not as good as Russell. Russell is arguably the only driver who can take the fight to and beat the big guys. I'm talking Fernando, I'm talking Verstappen, I'm talking Lewis Hamilton, I'm talking like the top dogs, the really, really top drivers. Charles Leclerc. I'm not saying he will win all of the exchanges because he has been smoked by these guys before, but George Russell is the type of guy who has the ability and the skill set to take the fight to these guys, take the fight to them, not lose his cool and come out on top. He has the ability to do that, especially when the car underneath him will perform at the highest levels. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. I will still be cheering on Oscar Piastri because that's my guy for 2026. I'll see you in the next one.